What's going on, people? It's your boy YG, self-proclaimed richest poor person on YouTube, and welcome back to another video of Apprentice to Free, where I'm here to show you my journey to financial freedom, to show you that it's possible for regular, everyday people like us to live the life that we want to live. And in this video, I'm going to take you through the steps to buy your first property. It could be your first primary residence or your first rental property, 1 to 4 units. That's what we're going to talk about today. As always, if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button below and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. So before I bought my first property, I didn't really understand the steps or the process to go about doing so. And I also get this question a lot, like, what do I have to do? So now I'm going to walk you through the entire process from the beginning to the end. There's a lot of different ways to buy a house or a property. But in this situation, I'm going to be talking about the most common and traditional way that people buy a house. So if you're a W-2 employee looking to use a bank to finance a loan, I'll walk you through that situation. So the first thing you should do is talk to different banks and mortgage lenders and try to get pre-approved. So you can try to get pre-approved for a conventional loan where you put 20% down, an FHA loan where you put 3.5% down, or a VA loan if you was in the military or your spouse is in the military where it's 0% down, and in some cases you don't have to pay closing costs. So first thing you should do is try to get pre-approved for a loan and see how much you'll get pre-approved for. Now that takes about a week or two depending on the bank and who you work with and how long you're going to research all these different places. So while you're doing that, also try to find a real estate agent to help you find properties and start looking at areas that you're interested in buying a house at. Now, once you're pre-approved, you have an agent and you have a good area of where you want to buy a house, you'll start looking at houses that are on the MLS, which is where all the houses for sale are listed if you're not trying to find off-market properties. And once you find a house that you're interested in, you tell your agent, hey, I'm interested in blah, blah, blah on whatever street. So the agent will then put an offer in. So when you put the offer in, it'll either get accepted, denied, or you'll be hit with a counter offer, which means the seller is like, no, I don't accept that price. I'll accept this price. So if the house is for sale for like 200K and you put in an offer for 180K, a counter offer could be, no, I want the 200, or no, I'll take 190. It all depends on the situation and if it's a seller's market or a buyer's market. A seller's market means there's more buyers than sellers, so sellers have the leverage. And a buyer's market, which is kind of where we're headed now because of the situation with the disease that's out, there's more sellers than buyers, so buyers have the leverage. So in the seller's market, seller is more likely to get what he wants in regard to price, and in a buyer's market, the buyer is more likely to get what he wants in regard to price because of the supply and demand. But once your bid is accepted, you go into what's called escrow. Escrow is the time between your bid being accepted and the closing date. So in this time is where most of the stuff happens. So the first thing you should do when your contract is accepted, or the first thing you have to do, depending on the situation, is submit your earnest money. And the earnest money, it all depends based on your contract, but it could be like 1 to 2% of the purchase price. And that's basically showing the seller that you're serious about moving forward with the deal. So the next thing you should do is schedule a home inspection. Usually you'll schedule this within the due diligence, and the due diligence is most of the time about 7 days. And this is when you go inspect the property, make sure everything is good to go, and if there's something wrong with it, you could either cancel the contract or counter offer with the seller to try to get whatever it is fixed. So you make the home inspection, and I also recommend doing a termite inspection. I do the termite inspections because it's free and I'm paranoid, and why not try to figure out if there's termite damage in the house or not. I usually like to do the home inspection and the termite inspection on the same day. So once you do this, you'll figure out what's wrong. You get a whole list of problems. Now, even a newly built house is gonna have problems, and because it's the home inspector's job to tell you what the issues are. So there's always gonna be issues. They might be minor and petty, but the home inspector is gonna put every little thing on that list. Now, once all your inspections are done, the next thing you want to do is find home insurance. Now, you could go searching different companies and insurance providers until you find a company or a person who is going to give you a competitive offer. Now, while all this is happening, you're still going to be dealing with the bank and going through the whole loan process. They'll be collecting all your documents, your W-2s, your last 2 years of tax returns, bank statements, proof of funds, credit reports, and all this stuff. They'll basically be going through your whole financial history to make sure that you're qualified for the loan. So once you get the home insurance, you'll also forward this to the bank because part of the loan requirements is the home is insured. You'll also be dealing with the title company. So you could choose a title company, the seller could choose a title company. I like to always use references. I don't like to just Google something and just use them. So I'll ask my mortgage lender or my real estate agent or somebody that is investing in the area what closing companies to use, what kind of contractors to use, what home inspector I should use. I like to use people who people I am working with have used before. So I'm not dealing with somebody just out of the blue. Now, sometimes these people could be good, sometimes they could be bad. It just depends, but you'll never really know until you work with the person before. So when you're dealing with the closing company, you just give them whatever paperwork that they ask for. But most of the time, your agent's going to be doing all of that for you. Before your loan is approved, they'll also have you get an appraisal on the property to make sure that the property is actually worth what you're paying for it. So if the property is less than what you're paying for, you either have to put more money up to cover the difference because they'll only give you a certain percentage of the property. So if you put 20% down, they'll finance the 80%. If it's FHA loan, they'll finance like 96.5% because you're only putting 3.5% down, except you understand what I'm saying. You could also submit a counter offer to the seller to lower the purchase price so it can meet the appraisal. But once the appraisal is good, you'll be fine. After all the inspections are done, you got your home insurance set up. You're just waiting for the bank to give you the good to go that your loan is approved. So once the loan is approved, you're good to close. So once the closing day comes, you go to the closing company, or you can get a mobile notary to just meet you wherever. I closed on my first property at a Starbucks right before I went to work. I had sweats on. I just did it in a Starbucks. So you can do it wherever you want. But you sign all the papers, and then once all the paperwork is signed and you wire the closing company your down payment and your closing costs, then you now officially own your first property. And the closing cost is it really depends on the kind of property it is and the location. It could be anywhere between like 5 to 6% of the purchase property. It's just all the fees and stuff that's included. So the real estate agent fees, which the seller pays for, you don't pay for that. Application fees, taxes, just a whole bunch of fees and stuff that's included. And you'll get a line by line itemization of what exactly you're paying for. So back to the closing. So once you close, you submit all the paper, you wire your money, then the house is yours. And you can do whatever you want to. You can move in, you can start renting it out. But that's the process to buy your first property. If you want me to go in detail about anything more specific, let me know in the comments below. As always, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up so YouTube shares this video with more people. And with that, I'll see you next week. Peace.